And with that, we welcome you into our first edition of lcpioneers.com live for the week. We are broadcasting at 11:30 Tuesday through Friday. You can find us easily at lcpioneers.com/live. Starting the week of shows for the fifth week in a row, trying to keep you in touch with Lewis and Clark Pioneers from student athletes, coaches, the Lewis and Clark community at large, alumni, and we have a good mix this week. We're pretty excited about the guests that we'll have on to keep you connected while we all can't be together on Palatine Hill. Also into the last week of classes for the undergraduates at Lewis and Clark. So wish everyone well as you get into finals starting next week. I am Ryan Goff. I am the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark College. We are in Portland, Oregon, an NCAA Division III institution. We have 19 different teams, and we compete in the Northwest Conference with institutions from Northwest Oregon throughout the state of Washington, and of course nationwide with the reach of NCAA Division III, over 430 institutions nationwide, a robust overseas study program, opportunity for our students to go all over the world. So a very exciting opportunity to come to Lewis and Clark, and we will talk to Lewis and Clark women's soccer junior Becca McCullough. She will join us as our first guest for the week and get how she's moving into the final week of her junior year, off a women's soccer season that was the best in school history. The program restarted in 2004, and by and large, best Northwest Conference season, one of the strongest defensive seasons the team has ever had, and in the 10th season under head coach Jim Tercy, over 330 wins. And we're excited to hear some stories about him, some stories about being a student athlete, and just her experience at Lewis and Clark overall. Becca will join us in just a few moments. But we do want to have you connect with us online. Instagram and on Twitter, LC Pioneers, our handle. You can also comment as Kalai and Emily are watching on lcpioneers.com/live, which takes you to our Facebook page. You can comment in the comments below if you have any questions for Becca or any of our guests this week. And also email sports@lclark.edu. And now that we're in our fifth week, we have been trying our best to keep our show list updated on our YouTube channel. You can go to LC Pios on YouTube and have a chance to see everything that we've already done in terms of guests that we've had through lcpioneers.com live. Last week it was a pretty fun week. We had Jason Luno, Angela Gintz, a whole bunch of people. Go to youtube.com/lcpios and you'll have a chance to see that there. Also, it was fun yesterday. I was talking to our interim director of physical education athletics, Mark Petrock, and he told me, he's like, have you been watching The Last Dance with the Bulls? You know, the story of the 97-98 Chicago Bulls. And I was like, I mean, I have, but I usually watch it on Monday or Tuesday nights instead of live on Sundays. Well, I guess episode four last week actually had a cameo by Pamplin Sports Center, Lewis and Clark's home gym and the home to our volleyball and basketball programs. A lot of our sports also practice inside our gym, but as you can see on your screen, Michael Jordan and the Bulls were actually warming up for one of their 92 finals games in Pamplin Sports Center. And so we share that on our Twitter, which is twitter.com/LCPioneers. Invite you to check that out and hopefully retweet, like that as well, because it was really fun to hear some people's memories about not only the 92 Bulls and the 92 Blazers, who they faced in the finals, but also an opportunity to just kind of see a moment of Lewis and Clark on the big stage. So that was pretty neat. Again, LC Pioneers on Twitter. And so, with all of that said, let's bring in our guest, Becca McCullough. She is a junior for women's soccer, as we try to share stories from our current student athletes, coaches, people from the Lewis and Clark community, alumni on lcpioneers.com live. Becca, we appreciate taking the time to join us. How was your week off to a good start?
Pretty good. It's sunny in Seattle, so that's a good start.
Yeah, you're from the Pacific Northwest, now in Portland as a junior for women's soccer. I know that there's been a lot of changes as of late with the change to remote learning and trying to get settled in at home. You've experienced something even further with your wrist. Tell us what happened. Are you wearing the cast right now? Did you got it on?
Yeah, I was trying to stay active and I was riding my bike and I fell off.
Oh, that's never good.
Yeah, it's all right though. It's almost healed.
Yeah, well, and this is a good time to do it because you get a chance to kind of get everything healed up for the upcoming soccer season, which will start next September. Uh, you're on the heels of what arguably is the best season, and certainly in the Northwest Conference standings, the best season for women's soccer. Take a moment to kind of relive that with us right now. What was it like to kind of have the season that your team did, and how did it all come together?
Yeah, it was definitely the best year I've had at Lewis and Clark. I think finally having a majority upperclassmen was a big boost to the team. I think my freshman and sophomore year, we were like the youngest team in the league. So I think it was helpful to, have that leadership and experience there. And I also kind of think that in the previous years, we've been like an unlucky team. And over we would give up like a goal in the 88th minute. And I think this year we were able to put the work in earlier and not get that far. Or if we did like with the Willamette and UPS games, we were able to finally like finish and win those games. Definitely, when we went up to UPS, I think we definitely did not have our best first half, and we were kind of holding on. And then I think it was the last 10 minutes, our freshman Breck scored, and we were tied up. And when we went into overtime, I think we had a free kick, and another freshman Yulia scored, and that caused us to win the game. And I think we were all so surprised, but it was finally, I felt like we really deserved it, and it was definitely, I think, one of the best wins the last 3 years I've experienced.
I mean, absolutely, that was a big win, the victory at Puget Sound. Um, you also had a very strong defensive season. It was the lowest goals against average by a Lewis and Clark team since 2004. Fewest goals allowed, period. Only 21 got into net for your defense. Why do you think you had so much success defensively this year?
I think a lot of it comes from our leadership. We had Lex back there, one of our captains, and also Cal in the midfield. So I think with a lot of experience, we were able to hold ourselves well, and we had Megan in the goal too, a senior. So I think just having that calm personalities and just being able to trust each other was super helpful. And I think leading into next season, we're definitely going to be able to work off of that and hopefully continue to be a strong defensive team.
Becca McCullough joining us on lcpioneers.com live. We do the show Tuesday through Friday at 11:30 and try to keep you connected with Lewis and Clark athletics community. If we ever have any issues with our stream, we do archive these shows on YouTube, youtube.com/lcpios. You had a big moment last year too, first career goal, and I'm curious how big of a feeling that was because on the outside looking in, you look at any stat and you go, "Oh, it's the first time ever that she scored." It feels like a big deal to us. I'm curious for you specifically, what was that moment like?
Um, I definitely wish that it would happen sooner in my career, but it was a good goal. I think we were in overtime with Caltech, I think, and it was a cross from Kenny and a missed clearance by the other team, and I just placed it and do it.
The transition from going to being on campus to remote.
It hasn't. It's definitely been an adjustment, but it hasn't been bad. I think all of my professors have been super helpful with the transition and hasn't put more pressure on us. And I think we're all kind of in the same boat, so it's just a learning curve for everyone. It's definitely not my ideal style of learning, but I don't think it's really anyone's. But it hasn't been too bad, and it's been nice to be able to communicate with my professors and other classmates normally just through Zoom.
And we've
Yeah.
been trying to keep tabs on how everyone's staying in touch as a team. Now you're going into your senior season, so have that last year and that last opportunity to kind of lead this team. How have you and your fellow seniors stayed in touch and tried to kind of shape things for the rest of the team going into next year?
Yeah. Um, well, this Friday we actually have a team meeting, and I think the Friday after that we will as well, because it's nice to stay in touch and see each other. I definitely have been in touch with, I think, almost everybody from my class and a lot of the lower classmen too. I think we all miss each other a lot, and so it's good to keep in touch and make sure everyone's doing okay.
Becca McCullough joining us on lcpioneers.com live. Uh, we've been trying to keep everyone in tune with everyone's senior seasons, especially the spring student athletes who had their seasons completely canceled or at least mostly cut short. You didn't have to do that because of being a fall sport, but I am curious, when you look at your own seniors who will graduate in a couple of weeks, when you look at some of your fellow seniors from other teams, uh, you know, what does this group, that you've been surrounded by going into your senior year next year meant to you, whether it was specifically, people from your own team or people from other sports?
Yeah, I definitely feel for those spring seniors. I remember coming into Pamplin, I think it was like a Thursday when all this was going down, and I just saw all the spring sports and their different groups crying, and it was just so heartbreaking to see how quickly their season was ripped away from them. But I'm just so glad that, I mean, hopefully our fall season still happens. And I think what makes our team so special is we come to school early in August, so we have those weeks to bond. And we, by the end of preseason, we're definitely all like attached to each other. And I think that like sisterhood we form in the first couple weeks is super important.
Well, and seemingly too this year, I mean, a unique opportunity, right? Because this was the last year that you were able to go to Chicago and have an opportunity to take one of those big nationwide road trips that I talked about in the Open, where, we spend a lot of time in the Pacific Northwest. Sometimes there's a trip to California, or sometimes there's a trip to Colorado. But this year you had that unique opportunity to visit the Midwest. What was that like for you?
It was super fun. I think, sort of like I said, we went in preseason, so we were all sort of trying, still getting to know each other, but it definitely makes your teammates bond quickly. And it was so fun to do things outside of soccer too. Like we did an escape room and all the meals we went to. We went to the Bean, and of course, playing the soccer games were super fun. But I think it just helps the cohesiveness of the team. Like doing these experiences, and it was super rewarding to be able to go, and we're so lucky to have a school and a team that lets us travel.
Well, and your head coach is Jim Tersey, and he's now going to be moving into his 11th year as the head coach for Lewis and Clark. He's approaching 30 years as a collegiate coach in a couple of seasons. Uh, Best Jim Tersey moment for you so far, because at times he can be quite a character.
Definitely. um let's see, I think, okay, well, I've never met a man who hates the rain as much as Jim does, and he has lived in Portland for so long. I'm surprised he's still here. He If it rains during practice, he kind of like runs for cover, but he goes to like the bleachers or the middle shelters. He also has like a thing with names. He often like creates little names, like for our one of our graduating seniors, Cal. I've heard Claraline from him. Um, he combines names. He's taken my name and Brecklin's name and makes Brecca, or Anjali and Angelina and makes Angelina. So he's definitely a character. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, we're blessed to have him for sure. He keeps things lively, and obviously the success that your program had last year. What was his 10th season as a head coach? I mean, he's approaching 340 wins, currently at 337. Outside of the coaching staff, when you think about stories from your team, what's the best story so far that you have in your time, 3 years as a student athlete at Lewis and Clark?
Um, I mean, I think the win at UPS for soccer related was definitely something that it just felt like so much pressure was lifted off of our shoulders, and like as soon as Julia scored, it was like finally like we worked this hard and it's finally paying off.
Yeah, it was a big moment for sure, and what was a pretty big season. We mentioned at the top too, Becca, that you're from Seattle originally. I'm curious, what brought you to Lewis and Clark? Why was this a place that you wanted to be as a collegiate student athlete?
Yeah, well, so I knew I wanted to stay on the West Coast, and I was mainly looking at schools in Oregon and California. And when I went to go look at Lewis and Clark, I met with Jim, and he told me I would be a great fit on the team, so that was helpful. And I knew I wanted a small school that was super important to me. And when I went on my recruit weekend, I went to some classes and I saw how small the classes were. And now looking in some of my classes, I have like 10 students. And my professors not only like know my name, but they know me personally and we're able to connect outside of the academic side. And the tight knit community, like between athletics and academics, is definitely something special. Whenever I can see like any coach around campus and they'll wave and say hi. So it's nice to have that constant support system both in the athletic community and academically.
So out of season, which you'll be, I mean, out of school rather, which you'll be here shortly for the summer. I know things aren't normal, but what are some of the things that over the summertime you've done historically, whether you're getting involved in different organizations or things that kind of keep you busy when you're not on Palatine Hill?
Yeah. So the last few summers I've been coaching soccer. I love to like work with kids in soccer. Both are some things I'm very passionate about. So I reached out to my old club a couple years ago and they offered me some summer job experience and I was able to learn a lot from the coaches and the kids. I'm hoping to do the same thing this year, hopefully. And it's definitely fun to work with kids and be able to be on the other side of soccer and kind of be a coach and like learn how that whole world works. And it was fun to give back to, the community I grew up with.
Well, we certainly appreciate having on campus women's soccer. A great season. Certainly been a strong champions program for sure, and all that you do outside of competition as well. So, looking forward to keeping tabs on everything. And I mean, obviously, rooting for everything to go as normally as possible in the fall. We're going to continue to make sure that we think positively in that respect. So, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Yes, thank you so much.
That's Becca McCullough joining us on lcpioneers.com live. You can find our shows on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/lcpios as well. Uh, I don't know how well it was on your end. I was getting a lot of red marks on mine. So if for some reason you miss any of Becca's appearance, we do record it locally on our computer so that we can upload it to YouTube and hopefully have the best uninterrupted stream so you can watch that as well at youtube.com/lcpios. Can continue to refine things. We have moved into our fifth week of shows, and we are looking forward to some of our guests this week, including swimming's JP Greener. He will be our guest tomorrow. Head coach from men's and women's tennis, Jimmy Chow. He's also an alumnus of Lewis and Clark. He's been with his alma mater nearly 20 years now as an assistant coach and now the head coach of the tennis programs. Excited to talk to him too from the perspective of spring was one of those seasons that was cut short. A couple of tennis matches did get in. I believe one or two Northwest Conference matches on each side did as well, maybe a few more, but by and large, a cut short season for the tennis program. So they just recently did a great job on their Instagram and Twitter handles, kind of sharing some of the accomplishments of their seniors and their players. So be sure to check that out too. If you want to connect with us, any of our teams on social, easiest way, by the way, lcpioneers.com/social. And then May 1st, Friday, Jacob Bell will join us. He is 1 year removed from graduating from Lewis and Clark. He's a political science graduate and has done a lot of great things from internships to job opportunities in the political realm. So we'll talk to him about that. Men's golf, student athlete. So we'll discuss what the program was like when he was in it. And also Kansas City Chiefs fan. So he's pretty excited about the first championship for the Chiefs in his lifetime. And so excited to talk to him about that as well. If you want to give us a suggestion, anyone you think that maybe we should have on the show, Any questions you have for our upcoming guests, you can do that sports@lclark.edu. You can do so on Instagram and Twitter. LC Pioneers our handle, or lcpioneers.com/live, and get into the comments below. So until we talk to you again, hopefully soon, hopefully on our strongest of internet connections. I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks for having fun with us. We will talk to you again soon for more lcpioneers.com live, and we will talk to you down the road. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
I think everyone should take
Lewis and Clark is amazing.
because,
Beautiful campus, small classes.
When you really come here, you get this sense, the feeling that this is a place that you could spend 4 years.
Everyone in that department, so
I was so comfortable learning and growing
one
here.
class that everyone should take at
There's no ostentation, there's no
I really enjoyed
pretension, no
education in
status.
a
Everyone's
complex
just here to
world.
learn.
You kind of get to discuss
To this
all the
bustling
issues
metropolitan
that
area.
exist within education today.
The overseas
and you
program
get to
just give you the
kind of
opportunity to explore the
that
world,
by
go to
going
places
to
that you never
classrooms
thought of.
firsthand and volunteering with children, which I thought was a really wonderful
Just
experience.
come here, just visit
One
this
class that
school,
everybody should take at
and
Lewis
you're gonna
Clark is
fall in love
anything
with it.
Guy Trudeau. I think he definitely changed
It's time to
how
explore
I thought about
Lewis and
learning
Clark.
media studies and just education.
For me, it was international affairs, to pivot international affairs, because I think it really gives a good perspective on important issues around the world.